Greetings, everybody. We've gathered around the table again today. And once again, it's lacking over there.
Joe sucks.
He's one hell of a camera stand, though.
Yeah.
He's doing a bang-up job as a camera stand. Yeah.
Guess we don't need that anymore.
Just going to move this over to all my area.
Just
Just come on in. It's good for the ride, yeah. All right. It's a 3-man show.
Yeah.
Do we need a Joe at this point? He's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Some people say they always need a Joe, but
I'm not convinced.
Well, we'll find out. It'll be to be determined.
it's all about whether you need a Joe or not.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Pocket dumps.
We're starting with me.
Why the hell not?
And
That's
I'm going to be
very
super boring, and I'm carrying the exact same thing I was carrying last week because reasons.
Yep.
Because I like it, so shut up.
Custom 3D Danto. Fancy.
Slicey.
It's a nice one. It's
It
a new
is.
knife. You're playing.
That's it. I can't help it.
Yep.
Mix it up. You went first last week, so.
Yep.
I've got the Griptilian 20 CB, Grey G10. Fantastic. Sheep's foot.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite configurations with the Griptilian.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked it out, look back into some of our earlier videos and watch our Griptilian factor and see all the different varieties and figure out which one you like the best. And I was carrying my 456 zero tolerance today.
The Sinkovich.
Yeah. And as much as I bugged Paul last week about a dirty blade, mine's just as gross this week, I think.
A little bit.
Or a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Big old hair on it.
Schmoopsy.
But we'll not say anything about that.
Also known as the Drunken 1. Spyderco now has the Drunken 2 out, also known as the Drunken, but God, they're similar.
Yeah, very.
Way
Fair
of
enough.
shape. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
I really like Sinkovich's designs.
Me too.
he does okay. I might have a couple pubs, but
Yeah.
So we're not talking about him today. We're
No,
talking
no.
about...
Well, we're going to take a step back in history first here.
Yeah.
And the step back into history is going to be brought to you by Condor. And it is a step back into history to look at the knife that Otzi the Caveman was found with. Or Otzi the Iceman, I should say. If anyone is unfamiliar, he was found in the fall of 1991 in the Alps along the Austrian and Italy border. He's barely over 5,300 years old, tail end of the Stone Age. And this knife, well, his original one, this is a recreation, was found actually in his hand when he was preserved and died, along with other tools that he had on with him.
And like you said, it was Stone Age, so it was a flint knife originally, right?
Yeah, and that's why they put in the kind of texturing along the blade there to be reminiscent to emulate the flint. His original one was like kind of a hemp wrap around the handles. And yeah, it was very simply constructed, but it is quite a useful little design for sure.
It's got a very cool little sheath with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, also based off of the original one that he had, just the simple leather, nice traditional stitched, and then his cordage, if I remember right, was like a woven grass, but this one is just like a nice woven leather.
Wasn't the whole sheath even like a woven grass material?
I can't remember.
I think it might have been.
So, honestly, I don't know that much about Otzi. I do like the fact that compared to the older steel that they've got,
Yeah.
and obsidian, flint, whatever the knife was to begin with, Condor has actually opted to use 1095 high carbon.
Mhm,
in this
A
variation.
step up, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, stepping up a little bit. They've usually been using 1075 in the past as the majority of what they've used.
Fantastic steel if you're looking at like machetes and things of that kind of length, but in the smaller knives you might as well have the little extra carbon and
Yeah, get the better edge of tension and sacrifice the flexibility, because in a blade that big, you don't need it.
that's it.
Yeah, a 2 1/4 inch blade
Yeah.
for what you're working with. So, definitely a small little utility knife.
Exactly.
You said found in his hands?
Yeah, it was
When
like
he-
they pried his fingers open to retrieve the knife out.
So kind of the last stand for him, quite potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a cool little piece for sure.
Cougars. Prehistoric cougars is what was going after this guy. He had a knife.
Actually, no, it's theorized that he was running away from some other Stone Age people at the time. He was up on the side of a mountain. He had a couple arrows lodged in him that were fired in an upward trajectory, so they thought those took him out. Not clear what exactly went down and why he was running, why he actually got those arrows or anything like that.
But killed by man.
Yeah.
I do remember actually the arrowheads stuck in him when you mentioned it. Yeah. So
I'm pretty sure they were able, like in the research of him, they were able to tell like food contents of his stomach and everything else, right? Like,
yeah, and they could tell. I'd have to refresh my memory on it all, but they were even able to figure out kind of what time of year he died compared to like the honey that he had eaten with what pollen was in the honey and what flowers were producing at that time, and they could
actually
tell
what berries he was eating.
Stuff like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, as far as the modern day usage of these guys, though, it is a great little neck knife, camp chore, setting up your camp, needing to cut paracord, just quick, easy little grab tool. It's awesome little option.
Very much so. I mean, you could wear it as a necklace
Mm-hmm.
and just enjoy it without ever even using it, and it's worthwhile.
And even someone who wants to go out, they want to challenge themselves on any sort of minimalistic, this is literally the closest thing that you would have to go out and do some primal designs with, and primal bushcrafting type of thing, and get out there with a knife that is beautifully designed, right? Condor did a really good job of tapering and sanding down this knife. I don't know if we can get a close-up of...
Yeah, this one they definitely did do a very good job on. One thing that we have kind of noticed with Condor, though, is they do tend to have discrepancies within the model from knife to knife, and this one is a wonderful example of this knife for sure.
They're definitely handmade.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the hand.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen several other Condors that have some discrepancies. They did a really good job on this particular one, and we're really happy that we got to play with it tonight.
Yeah, and any of those discrepancies that we have seen don't take away from the function of the knife. They're just like little nitpicks that knife geeks have.
I like the fact that they got it right in the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the original knife, it would have been blade heavy because of the stone.
Yeah.
And it's still blade heavy. Like, it's not a full tang in this thing, for sure. It's only probably coming in.
More than likely, yeah.
A third or a halfway.
If someone had some magnets, we would have been able to figure that out.
No magnets. This is a world without magnets. We'll have that introduction at the beginning of the video.
When did that happen?
Without magnets. Don't worry about it.
We'll tell you tomorrow.
I'm a little bit worried about it.
Enough magnets. My
So
magnets are weak.
Yeah, maybe it is a world with magnets, but they're weak-ass magnets.
They're very weak magnets, and
Yep.
they cannot tell the difference. To my knowledge, the tang goes to this wrap because my magnets can't feel anything, but I have weak magnets.
Yeah.
It's the worst horror movie of all time. In a world where magnets are weak.
You can barely hold your note to the fridge.
But, Mommy, I made you that letter.
Why aren't you proud of my drawing?
You guys are weird.
Yeah.
Oxy.
So yeah, kind of just general view is it's definitely not a hard use knife, indicative of the size and stuff like that, but it is just great little camp chore knife. Has a special place in my heart because I love the whole Otzi thing and how he was discovered and what we've learned from him as far as ancient societies and
Civilizations.
those things. Yeah.
Yeah, edit that with eye-rolling good times.
Yeah. Final thoughts?
It's a cool little knife.
It
And
is.
I really, really like that sheath.
Yes. Yeah, the sheath is very cool.
The homage to kind of man's first knife and one of the examples of man's first knife. I think it's super awesome. You're not wearing it to do anything except for just be an homage to something
That's it.
else.
Yeah.
I would legitimately carry that or wear this just as a necklace.
Indeed.
Hopefully you've got beefier options to choose from, right? So
So yeah,
One or two.
that's our little wrap up on the Otzi knife there. Oh, one thing that I am going to say about the sheath quickly though is they do have a little notch there, so you are able to index nicely.
I will say sheath is very tight. It's
Yeah.
very tricky on getting edge alignment lined up and not worrying about slicing the sheath. So do sheath and unsheath with care, guys,
Yeah.
when you're playing with this one.
For
It's
sure.
leather. It'll stretch as you use it, but
Yeah,
Mhm.
hopefully, for sure.
So yeah, after rounding out that nice little prehistory adventure into the Otzi knife, we're going to have a look at a great new little offering from Condor as one of their bush knives. They offer it in the forest, the desert, and the tactical options.
stealthy.
I think this is tactical for desert missions.
Yeah.
And this is tactical for green screen missions.
But are they tactically black? No.
The
That's
question I have
racist.
is,
So racist.
is there tactical bushcraft? Is that a thing?
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Can we do that? Can we play that game?
It's where you
Yeah.
do the streak underneath your eye. Each
But it has to be made with like pine pitch that you
That you made yourself?
charcoal
yeah.
and blacken up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, pine pitch and like deer poo.
And then when you pull your black knife out. Oh, wait for it. I'm going to cut myself. Everyone gets one. I
Yeah.
didn't say I was exempt from this rule.
That's good.
You get yourself some very nice 1095.
Yeah.
Mhm. And we haven't actually mentioned it yet, but the model that we are looking at now is the Pterosaur.
Condor, Pterosaur.
Yeah.
Kind of Condor's version of a Mora, really, at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
It's a Garberg. It'll come
Yeah.
toe-to-toe with the Garberg. And
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know what American price points are, but Garbergs are 89 or 99 on the Canadian market, and that's what the Pterosaurs are running at the same time. Even
Aren't these
cheaper.
running 69?
59.
59.
Even cheaper
Mhm.
than a
I think you're right.
Garberg. And I don't know what a Garberg is using for their high carbon version. I know their
Not sure.
stainless is probably a 1227 sand.
Yeah.
But yeah, to get 1095 for $60 that
Yeah.
would go toe to toe with the Garberg.
Full tag.
Yeah,
definitely full
obviously
tang.
full tang.
Similar to how the Garberg has it sticking out the backside. Easy for use for tinder shaving, ferro rod scraping, any hammering if need
Hammering,
be,
pulling, yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
And as far as a handle goes, rock solid.
Mhm.
You will not be worried about cracking these
Yeah,
handles
no.
anytime
No.
soon.
My only downside to the handles is I wish they did have a little bit of a rubbery texture to them rather than being a harder plastic.
Would be nice.
I find I get a little bit moist, sweaty palms, and these guys get a little slippery for me. But with the checkering on them, it's not too bad.
And they are a little bit of a hard plastic compared to some of the softer crayons,
Mhm.
the
Yep.
3V Master Hunter that you've got, things like that. But again, keeping the price point down.
Yeah.
And keeping the durability with these harder retention sheaths. Now, something Nigel pointed out was the dot there, and we'll let you show maybe on the brown one because it's
Sure.
probably the.
So on the inside of the sheath there, and you can just kind of get a glint of it at the top there, is a. Dennis is pulling out a flashlight here. Okay, see. Yeah, so there's little nubs inside the sheath there, and what those do is they key into the little crest of the Condor logo, and that's what gives you the retention inside the sheath.
Yeah, so little nubs right halfway up, and those little nubs is what actually clicks it in, and you can see very easily when Nigel clicks it that it's
Yeah,
a very
very-
positive lock.
Exactly.
And rather than being a Kydex or a contouring, it's very simply this little nubby right here on the green one. On the black one, it's not popped in.
It's nice though. It doesn't rattle. It's
Yeah.
still
You can
nice
flip
and
it
tight.
upside down and you can give it good
Yeah.
shakes. Like it's very, very solid knife. I'm gonna stab Paul if it comes out. Everyone gets one.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
But I
it's,
mean, even like it's a hard plastic sheath, and there's no,
Yeah.
and it's not tight against it. It's not a Kydex where you wouldn't expect a rattle.
Mhm. And with the
It's impressive.
yeah, like how I mentioned, I kind of found a deterrent or would have liked a little bit of a rubbery, softer texture to the handles. That wouldn't have worked as well with this style of sheath because potential for it wearing away wouldn't keep the retention the same and
Getting
stuff like
ripped
that.
off or something like that.
Mhm.
I'm curious on what the heat treatment is on their 1095 compared to their 1075. Because again, with the Utsi knife and the pterosaur knives with the 1095 again for $60 Canadian, that's a fantastic price. And I'm wondering what they do and what kind of performance we can expect with Condor jumping into the mix of an Ontario, of a Essie, of a Tops, of a K-Bar, $60.
Yeah.
And they've got some other offerings that are even a little more expensive but a little classier or whatever.
One thing I'm a little bit surprised you guys haven't mentioned yet is the fact that this knife is ambidextrous, not in just one way, but actually two ways.
Yeah. Well, we hadn't really gotten to that point just yet because we were still talking mostly about the knife, but that is, well, we were talking about the sheath as well, I guess, so with the these. But yeah, that's part of the way it works is with the nubs and how they're designed is you can get it seated in both ways very easily, no issue with that. And then also the actual belt frog thing is able to pop off and you can switch that to either side. It does have little catches inside there, so it will key into the little notches there and hold the frog in place.
For companies that out there that don't give you an option, the fact that you have two options on that is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, for a lefty, that's awesome. One of the worst cats I've had in the last couple of years was actually a Mora that was a very, like, it's got the hard molded plastic on the one side, and I was trying to draw it still left-handed, and I ended up catching the inside of my pinky and scoring it something pretty. So the fact that you can flip that around.
The fact that it's a leather loop, too, is nice. It gives you a little bit of flexibility on your hip.
Yeah, helps with a little bit of the swing factor and stuff, so it's not just locked in place on your hip.
That's it. And it's nice because it's narrow enough. You could put it on a dangler really easily.
Oh, yeah, definitely. For sure.
Or even with that slit on the back, you could hang it off of like an overall pocket up the button.
Yeah, you could.
Except for this one.
I was going to say, now that's going to lead us into...
Yeah, so kind of as we've touched base with the Yahtzee knife and how there's discrepancies within the models, that's the one thing that we've noticed with these guys is, as Paul mentioned there, that's probably the intended usage was hanging off a button or something, but that strap got put on backwards, it seems, so...
Yeah, so it's actually got the slot on the inside. But...
And I don't know if we've mentioned it in this episode or not, but again, we want to thank Cutting Edge Cutlery Co. for lending us all these knives.
All these fun toys.
On the same note, they are not giving us these knives as a perfect version. Condor is not loaning these as perfect versions. We are getting our honest opinions.
They're right out of the box.
So you do see things like this, discrepancies. We grabbed one. They let us have one out of the box. We took it home. It literally hadn't been cracked open until we started to pretty much do this review. And Nigel automatically noticed.
Actually,
that.
It was Paul first who noticed.
Oh, well, I'm gonna say it's Nigel.
And you're wrong.
I don't give you credit enough for stuff, and I'm gonna keep it. But
all the credit is mine. Give it to me.
But anyway, either way, yeah, we gotta say we're not getting an
finally
unbiased.
Acknowledged it.
We're not getting an unbiased opinion on stuff.
That's it.
We're getting
Yeah.
And they're great little knives.
That they are.
Bang for your buck, man. I think they're absolutely awesome. People complain a little bit, like Nigel did, about the harder rubber. All right.
Back to the turkey episode.
Yeah, it's back to the turkey. Let's just chicken drumstick, turkey drumstick. Anyway, but price point, I think it's something you really have to overlook, and you have to look at the blade steel. You have to look at the simplicity of the sheath, but also the leather being ambidextrous. And just say for a tool, for what it is.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Knives.
Either that, or you spend $200 or $300 and you get the fancier fit and finish from the Essies and the Tops knives.
Yeah,
it's your other option.
I might have already mentioned it, but I'm so happy that they've moved up to a 1095.
Yeah.
It's nice to see a little bit.
Indeed, yeah, super nice touch, especially looking into more of the kind of bushcrafty style carving tools that they're doing.
Yeah,
you want that edge retention there for sure.
I don't know what the heat treatment is. It's a big question mark on their 1095.
So yeah, how about we get some measurements going on these guys and find out blade lengths and stuff.
All right, so overall we can just go with one because I'm sure they're all close to the same. But let someone line that bad boy up. Let someone zoom it in at the same time. Paul, you want to line that up while Nigel zooms? All right, so overall, we're looking at just a hair under 9, 8 and 3/4, something like that.
No, I call that a 9.
9? Okay,
Yeah.
what do we got for a blade length? Let's shift it up so we can see.
Yeah,
Looks like 4.5.
Yeah, I'd say cutting edge would be 4 1/4.
Okay.
4 1/4.
To where the shoulder is there.
Which means you got 4 3/4 for the handle, but you got to finger choil a little bit.
Yeah.
Thickness wise.
You got a little hair and pull in the back too.
Yeah.
1/8 inch or so.
So, and then weight for these guys. Just curious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see.
Sorry.
No worries. Curious to see if they vary in weight at all. 4.4. 4.35.
Really?
Yeah. 4.42. So
Yeah. Slight discrepancies in the weights.
yeah,
And whether
a
that's
1/10 of an ounce.
yeah, and whether that's between how they were ground differently, if there's any material left, or if like even as simply as the chamfered hole around the lanyard in the plastic could have been the difference in the weights. Yeah. Interesting.
One extra hole in the handle or something like that.
Very cool.
So yeah, I think they're awesome. I think for the price you're paying for a simple bushcraft knife, I think a whole bunch of guys should jump on these as an introductory bushcraft knife, and I think it's going to treat them really, really awesome.
If you want to try a Scandi grind, it's a great option to go ahead and try.
Yeah. And
It does look like they have a micro bevel on them.
yeah, very slight. It might just be from the buffing.
From the strap,
Yeah, I'm definitely very curious as to see how these guys would hold up against Moras and whatnot, and that might be a video in the future, potentially.
We are looking at
Yeah.
maybe doing some field test videos soon, and hopefully we can give you guys that option, and I think you'd like it a lot. So, I think that rounds out those guys.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's not the end of this video, though.
No,
We're
but
going to keep this train rolling.
yeah, but to say the least, I think we're all fan of these guys for sure. Definitely try one out. So to finish off the episode, we're gonna go from our tiniest offering from Condor to one of their biggest, most ridiculous things that they came out with this year.
It's pretty great.
It's pretty awesome, Paul. Do the honors.
I feel kind of dirty. I don't know if that needed 2 people for that.
Oh, definitely. One on each end.
Yeah. I like it that way.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's not the
the
first party.
Condor Atrox. I'm going to zoom in there so we can get the name. Yep, it has dual colored micarta handles. A little bit of a style to the handle there. Me personally, I feel it's kind of reminiscent to the end of a bone.
So it looks kind of like a dog bone or something.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then we've talked in the past about this triangular pinch grip thing that they've got going on with that. And they've kept that again with this style knife.
Kind of like a springbok.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a hair under 11 inches of glorious chopping, fantastic power.
Yeah, that is not a little blade for sure.
It's fantastic, yeah.
It's not a short blade, but it's so nice in hand.
It's nimble.
Yeah.
Did you get a weight? Will it weigh?
It won't.
No.
It will not weigh. I haven't got a weight off of Condor's website either because they're terrible. So I might actually have to weigh this on a bathroom scale.
Yeah, it's definitely thick and chunky.
It's
Weigh
a
yourself and then weigh yourself with
It's
the
a
knife.
1/4 pound of absolute glory, if not more. Like
It's definitely more than that.
So, yeah.
1/4 pound is 4 ounces.
Yeah.
For me, it's one of the highlights for 2018. I'm absolutely in love with this knife.
Yeah, Dennis has a weak spot for Bowies for sure, and yeah, this one's definitely tickling him.
I don't want to mention it because we don't have it on the table, but if you like the Natchez, you'll like this.
Well, I was going to kind of jump onto that point as well and mention how, not necessarily on the channel or in any of the videos, but amongst ourselves, we have referred to Condor as kind of the South American cold steel.
Yeah.
And comparing this guy to the Natchez, and it's definitely true.
High carbon steel, nice and nimble.
Yeah, it's a
Great handle.
1075 instead of an 01.
Yeah.
And you've got the two-tone micarta, which I think is almost nicer than the faux wood that the Natchez actually has to offer.
Yeah.
Is that faux?
It is not real,
Wow.
sir.
That hurts my feelings.
Overall length for this bad boy. What are we looking at?
17 and a half.
That's a big knife.
Yeah. Now, cutting edge, they said just a hair under 11, which it is.
Yep.
But it also includes the striking choil. Now, I was asked when this knife first came out, why would they put that choil on there? It's obviously not a sharpening choil. If you look at the description of this knife, they talk about it being a combat / survival knife. So with the survival aspect, all of a sudden you do have fire striking options and things like that with this choil that I can see being an advantage.
It's coated though.
Yeah, that would wear through easily.
Only a couple
enough.
strikes to get through that coating to make it that, right?
I'll give you
so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm biased.
The sheath?
Yeah. Something that Condor is not necessarily known for is their kydex. And they did a really good job on their kydex on these ones. Not only does it have a kydex sheath, but leather straps to loop to your belt.
Very nice combo.
Which also look like they are mole webbing compatible. Now, I don't know who is going to decide that they want to weave that through their mole vest webbing. Maybe to a bag.
Yeah, I can see it to a
I could
bag.
see it strapped to a bag. Because there's a lot of guys that do have that side webbing.
Yeah.
Yourself included, Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
That if you were going hiking with your said bag, you could strap this to the
Strap it to the
side.
bottom of my bag if I wanted to.
Yep.
And have a nice option for deployment.
You can strap it to the bottom of your bag, throw a sleeping bag underneath that kind of like, or a dry bag strapped underneath there, and it would hold it up real nice and out of the way.
That it would.
And it would still be accessible if you needed it.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm impressed with their kydex work is how clean and crisp all the molding is.
Compared to
Yeah.
where the knife actually sits.
Like like that's the retention on the blade, and it's a heavy blade, and
It's not going anywhere.
yeah, I'm not going to shake it hard because I'm sure it would fall out. But as far as like decent shaking, it's not
I
moving.
would give it better than a lot of the tops
Yes,
that we see
definitely.
out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So props to Condor for doing a good job.
That stamp's really nice too.
Yeah.
That's something I've seen with Benchmade recently too, and I really like.
Also, molding universal enough that they didn't ignore the lefties. So for Nigel and myself, you can unscrew these, you can put the webbing on the other side. It is going to be the same, and instead of having your stamp there, you get the very cool Condor logo on the backside.
The El Salvador.
El Salvador. You don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
might.
know.
I'm pretty sure.
So either way, it's actually like, it complements whichever way you wanna wear it. So I will be picking one up soon.
Yes.
It will be in my collection. You'll see Instagram pictures of it. I guarantee it because this thing
for sure.
is
Knives and coffee in the future.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a great beast of a knife. I would for sure take this guy out into the bush with me and chop wood and baton with it and all that jazz.
We did compare it to the Natchez, and
Yep.
it's not the Natchez in its ability to be used.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's much more abusable.
Yes, much more abusable. And I will say 1075 maybe won't hold up the same edge as maybe a Trail Masters 01 or even a Ulyss with 1095 or something like that. But the difference is the weight and the balance on this thing. As soon as I picked it up, my exact words were, I've been waiting 2 or 3 years for Condor to come out with a product like this. I knew I had it in them, and Joe Flowers knocked it out of the park with this design for me.
I like the aesthetic too of the black blade with the shiny bevels and the shiny swedge.
Yeah.
Now, swedge, having said that, if we can get a zoom in on that too, the swedge is not actually sharp. You can see right there. It is not. It gives the aesthetic of, but it will need some finishing work to make it all the way sharp.
Yeah.
I guess depending on if you wanted to make it the survival or the combat aspect, as they say right in their description, right?
And as far as some of the discrepancies from Condor go that we've already touched on, that's one of the major things I've noticed with the Aatrox is discrepancies in the thickness of the swedge spine. Like even this one, it's quite tapered down towards the tip and a lot thicker up towards the heel of the swedge there. whereas some are consistent thickness the whole way down.
We've pulled out several because there is an Instagram picture up right now that Nigel's already posted with me holding 2 of them. So we're looking at a couple of them at the same time, and we did notice slight variations, especially with the swedge and the thickness of the swedge.
We were even talking about the fact that the thickness of the swedge might have actually changed the balance on them, at least one of them, right?
Yeah, and even the thickness of the handle. I think that came into play, and I think this might have actually been the thicker one that we're sitting here playing with tonight. And again, thank you, Cutting Edge. Yeah, for letting us play with this one. But I think it is the thicker one that we're actually playing with tonight compared to the other 2 that we had handled in shop. But even still, if you had thrown one of these Atrox knives at me and said you're getting one of these prepaid shipping,
any one of them,
you had given me one in my hand, I still would have been giggity over the whole thing.
Oh my!
There's a lot of people out there that appreciate that aesthetic of no matter what, they're handmade, and no 2 are going to look the same.
Yeah. Me personally, I find absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just our nitpickiness as knife geeks.
100%.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to look at more than one, and because I had the opportunity to look at more than one, I noticed differences between them. But if you had only given me one, I would have been super happy with the one you had to give me.
Yeah.
And it could be argued too that as long as the changes aren't enough to actually impede how the knife feels and stuff like that. So that one that was really light in the hand because of how thin it was, depending on who you are, that might not be to your personal taste.
Yep.
But outside of that, they all are going to work.
Yeah, they're still going to cut. They're still going to function. There's nothing that changes their usefulness as a knife.
That's exactly it.
So, and price point, absolutely fantastic. Again, 2-tone micarta with a 1075, arguably a decent heat treatment, compared to a Topps Yinglet, something of the equal size, you're paying significantly less for something of this quality. So that's the other awesome thing about Condor is you can get a knife this size without getting up into the $300, $400, $500 price point.
Yeah, I love these guys for sure. Kind of reference them as being jungle crafted for jungle use.
Definitely a user, that's for sure.
They are great.
It's final diagnosis.
I think it's safe to say that we are fans of Condor.
I think so.
I put that guy away already.
For what they do, I think they're absolutely fantastic. I think they're worth every penny. If you like their style, go out and check some of their stuff out. There will be just some discrepancies on the fit and finish, but knife nerds need to get over the small little detail thing and just realize that these are very functional tools, and all of the Condor products are going to be functional tools.
Yeah.
And across the many ranges in size, they're fun little knives.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of ranges of sizes. This year they've really been pumping out a few different styles as far as the more rustic bushcrafty. They've got like the EDC Puka, which is a very classy dress-up sort of knife.
We'd love to show you guys a whole bunch of their new offerings because I think they have a whole bunch of cool stuff to check out, but we've got a lot of videos to do, so eventually we might get back to some other ones coming along the way.
But yeah, I'm sure no matter what your taste or style, you'll be able to find something from the Condor offering that will tickle you. You'll enjoy.
Suit your fancy.
You have to get over your hang-ups with Condor, though. That's the one thing I'll say at the very end of the Condor videos is get over your hang-ups of evenness on swedges and grinds being not 100%. Get over them and then use them for the tools that they were intended for.
Except the fact that they are handmade, no one's hands are perfect. Everyone will be a little different.
Yeah.
That's
get out there and cut stuff and don't care that your wood is not 100% symmetrical on all of your handles.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to say.
That being said, all of us can take our heads out of our asses with that point as well, and I'm sure everyone else out there can benefit from some of that too.
I'm going to complain about my sitting on that bench made repeatedly.
We are going to nitpick about that in every other video, but at the end of the day,
with
for what you're paying for,
I'm going to point it out, but that's one of the things I realize I'm getting for Condor is a cheaper price point.
Yeah, we might point it out, but it won't stop us from buying it.
No.
Yeah.
If I'm paying $300-$400, I'll point it out and be annoyed. With Condor products, I'll point it out and say, hey, heads up, this is something you just have to know going in.
Yeah.
And I'm not upset about it, but it's still something you need to know going into purchasing a Condor product because it might not be 100%, but it's cool.
But it's rarely a situation where you have to change something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So yeah, we enjoy Condor. Hopefully you'll get out there and enjoy it yourselves. This is going to be an end of another video.
Joe, you suck.
Indeed.
Thanks for being a good mic stand for the last
Yep.
2 weeks, you son of a bitch.
You suck.
So,
Hopefully in the future we'll get that side of the table filled in again, and hopefully Joe will step up to his responsibilities.
We'll just bring Morgan back.
I'm sure he would have had opinions on the Aatrox Bowie because I think me and him are on the same vibe on this one. But you
But
know
it
what
doesn't
I get?
matter
I
because he's
get-
not here.
I get crickets chirping right here, and hopefully we can get that because that would be. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So yeah, follow along on Instagram, like all our videos, subscribe, do all those things that will help us grow, so that way we can help entertain you guys. Give us suggestions for what you'd like to see, if there's any change-ups.
Yeah, if there's
Yeah.
a knife you want to see or something like that.
Yeah.
If we have the chance to get it, we will.
Don't be shy. We like interacting with you folks. That's why we're doing this. And yeah, on that note, Nigel the Smith signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Fibers.
And I'm exile.ca. Joe sucks.
You suck, Joe.
The Iron Joe sucks.
He does. We'll catch you later.
We don't need bigger knife. Yeah.